AITA for exposing my wife's cheating and not wanting to do anything with a child that isn't mine. So 2 weeks ago I found out that my 5-year-old isn't biologically mine. I felt so hurt and betrayed that my wife of 6 years relationship for 9 cheated on me and even got pregnant by another man. I took a paternity test without telling my wife. I immediately confronted my wife and called her a whore in my anger and many other names. She started crying and explained that she hid it because she didn't want to break our happy family of 3. I asked her why did she cheat on me. She explained we had a very nasty argument back in the day, so she hooked up with someone and it was just one-time fling and has been loyal to me. She said she had doubts that I wouldn't be the father, but she never took paternity. She said she was happy, seeing me happy, and didn't go with abortion for peace of our family and didn't tell me the truth. I told her I am divorcing and I don't want to be in our son's life. She started crying and begging me to not break the family, and I am still his father and I have been a wonderful father and a husband. I should forgive her and don't let DNA destroy our lives, and started begging me. I immediately left and she was blowing up my phone. I decided at first not to tell anyone else, but in the end I got very angry and decided to tell everyone. Everyone is pissed at my wife. Her parents said they want nothing to do with their daughter and cut contact. My sister furiously called my soon-to-be ex and cursed her out. Her brother and sister on the other hand said I have humiliated my soon-to-be ex and shouldn't have told everyone and should have kept in between us. Yesterday her sister called me and said I need to take her back and come back for my son. I said I don't have a son. She got angry and started cursing me and said I am a weak, pathetic man. Update 1. I was absolutely shocked to see 10,000 comments on my post in DMs when I checked my post again yesterday. I am thankful for everyone. I couldn't go through all the comments, but I took my time to read many, and those who were asking if I am okay. I'm not, but I will live. Also, why are some people calling me misogynist and I deserve to get cheated on? If your husband comes to you and claims to have a child outside of your marriage, would you not curse at him? It's not about gender at all. Also, apologies about the grammar. English isn't my first language. Anyway, I decided to do paternity because my sister asked me to. She asked me multiple times, but I brushed it off. I never ever thought of my wife to cheat on me, let alone getting pregnant by another man. My sister is my best friend and has always looked out for me. She said I should get a paternity test because my son doesn't look like me at all. I said he looks like his mom, but she forced me, and I am glad she did. She was so heartbroken seeing me cry on her and angry at my wife. I must have hugged her for hours and cried because I truly loved my son, but he reminded me of my wife's cheating and made my pain worse. Anyway, after reading comments about how my son is a victim just like me and all this, I decided to not cut him off completely right away cause it might mentally scar him. I called my wife and she picked my call right away. I said I am coming over to meet my son. She cried and said she's glad I am coming over. I asked her if the bitch is still with her. She said she is. I asked her to tell her to not talk to me, otherwise I'm leaving. She said the bee will not interact with me. When my son saw me, he was very happy. He instantly hugged me. He asked me where I was for so long. I picked him up and said I was working. I played with him for an hour and gently explained to him that I will be away frequently but will visit you and be in contact. He didn't like the news, so to cheer him up I said I will prepare a very good surprise for his birthday. Not sure what I am going to do, but I'll figure it out. It's in December, so I'll figure something out. Anyway, after he went outside to play, I talked to my wife. My wife instantly latched onto me and hugged me and started crying. She asked me to come back to her and not to give up on our son and on her over a mistake. She wanted to abort but she didn't because I was happy, and she's been loyal to me since then. I got even more angry and I grabbed her arm, yelled at her that she destroyed me and our son. When he finds out the truth, he won't love you as much as he loves you now. I finished in you every single night with nothing to show, but a random man finishes in you once and you got pregnant. We both know I'm not infertile. I told her I wanted to tell every single person we know the truth, your friends, your friend's friend, the whole fucking neighborhood, and every single one of her family members, even if they live in fucking China, even to those you haven't talked to in years, and every single one of your future partners. She started crying and shaking. I told her I won't. I wanted to exact revenge on her, but if I do this it will hurt the innocent child and ruin him. I said, do not misunderstand, I am doing it for him, not for you. She said I am the love of her life and she can't live without me, and she will wait until I calm down and she will fight for me. She will not let her family break just because of a mistake she made, and she will give me as many kids as I want, and she herself will do paternity tests. She then started kissing me. I pushed her and said, you are delusional. You acting as if you have ruined my car or something. I would have forgiven you for anything else, but this is a betrayal to your husband and your own child. I yelled at that filthy bee of a sister to get her professional help. She's going crazy. But before she could say anything I left cause I want her to be as mad as she can possibly get. After I came back I sent a text to my wife that I will be visiting her for my son frequently, but I am only thinking about him and nothing else, and don't make it all worse than it already is. Think about him and be a good mother. I am now living with my sister and she has given me support and hugs me until I calm down, even if it takes me hours. I will start divorce proceedings and I am his father, DNA or not, so it's unlikely I will escape. Since I have a moral obligation to be in his life and fuck the mother and her sister. Both sisters are ass, maybe it runs in their blood. Update 2. It's been a month since I found out that my son isn't biologically mine. I sought therapy, and I love my son even though he isn't mine biologically. I love him, I always did and always will. In my anger, I called my wife names, which I didn't want to do, but she betrayed me, and my sister-in-law definitely deserved it because she called me weak and treated me like shit after I found out the truth. After a lot of therapy sessions, I realized that it's better if I just make peace with everyone and be in my son's life. I don't know why I am getting angry messages about how I went too far, that my situation is fake, and that I should forgive my wife. Well, I agree I was angry because it's a betrayal worse than just cheating. In any case, I am posting once again because I truly tried my best. I talked with my sister-in-law, and thankfully, she wasn't hostile. We apologized to each other, and while we still don't like each other, it's okay. I visit my home every few days. My sister-in-law, my wife, and my son live in my house. I am tolerating all this because of my child, and I just want a clean divorce from my wife and want to be in my child's life because I am the only father he has ever known. Though he is young, I don't know how to tell him the truth. Every time I visited my home to spend time with my son, who I absolutely adore, he always gets excited whenever I come back to see him. My wife would always hug me. I stopped pushing her away because it never worked. I just let her hug me and let her vent. She keeps venting about how sorry she is and wants me back, but I always told her that I am there for my son. She cries but doesn't say much in front of our son, thankfully. But 3 days ago, when I visited my son to spend time with him, in his absence of course, I told my wife that I had hired a lawyer. My wife freaked out and said I shouldn't split our family apart. She said my son might not have my DNA, but he's my son, and she's my wife, and we can make it work and live happily. And she'll give me as many children as I want. I left after she vented. I am still angry at my wife and my sister-in-law, but I am in control of my anger. Her family kept calling me and telling me that I should give my wife another chance, that I should be a good husband, and that she will be a good wife to me. But when I refused, they said there's a chance I won't be able to see my son, which got me scared. I love my son, even though he isn't biologically mine, and he loves me as I am his father, but what if I am not allowed to see him? What if they flip the situation? That's what I am worried about. It's not about me but the child's mental health, and I fear that they are weaponizing it, and I don't want that. Update 3. TLDR. My wife cheated years ago, and I recently found out my son isn't biologically mine. It's been incredibly rough. I even considered abandoning him, despite the fact he's not biologically mine, but I couldn't do that to him. I've been visiting him regularly since moving out, enduring my wife's attempts to win me back and her awful sister's presence, all for my son. This Christmas, after celebrating with my son, my wife, her sister, and her family cornered me for a talk. They want me to reconcile and not give up on my family. My wife admitted her mistake from years ago, saying she can't change the past and wants to stay with me. I told her it's impossible. I'm doing this for our son, not for her or any of them. They argued that we've been living peacefully, that I have a loving family, which I do love my son deeply, even knowing he isn't mine, and that I shouldn't break up the family. They suggested I take my time, forgive my wife, and go back to how things were. They said the past is past and that she's been faithful ever since, promising to give me biological children. After hearing all that, I told them what my wife did was a betrayal, not just cheating, but making me raise another man's child. I explained that I tried my best to avoid complications and did everything for my son. I told them I'm leaving, filing for divorce, and giving up custody of my son. I left, ignoring their attempts to stop me and the constant texts and calls. I've talked to a lawyer. My position is either I get full custody, or I give up my parental rights. I'm not concerned about child support, but this is incredibly painful. I tried to give my son a good life, even though he's not mine biologically, and wanted him to have both parents. But his mother is making it impossible. If he ever needs my help or wants to reconnect, I'll be there. I know it's likely his mother will get custody. Update 4. Hey everyone, I know it's been a while. I've been doing a lot of soul searching these past few weeks. The divorce and custody battle have been incredibly stressful, and it's made me realize something important. My son's well-being has to be my priority. I was so consumed by anger and hurt that I lost sight of what's best for him. He deserves to have a relationship with both of his parents, even if that's difficult for me. I've decided to shift my focus. I'm still going through with the divorce, but I'm going to try my best to co-parent with my wife. It won't be easy. There's a lot of hurt and resentment on both sides, but I'm willing to try. I've started talking to my wife about how we can make this work for our son. We're trying to find common ground and establish some ground rules for communication and visitation. It's a slow process, but I'm hopeful that we can create a stable and loving environment for him. I know it's the right thing to do, even if it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Final update. It's been a few months, things aren't perfect, and honestly, they probably never will be. The divorce is final, thank fucking God. That whole process was a special kind of hell with lawyers, court dates, and dealing with the family. Custody-wise, it's complicated. We have a schedule, I see my son regularly, but it's not the same. It just isn't. There are times I feel like I'm constantly fighting for scraps of time with him, and other times I feel guilty for even thinking that way. His mom and I are civil most of the time. There are still flare-ups, little digs, passive-aggressive comments, plus I still have to deal with her sister from time to time. It's just part of the deal, I guess. We're like two magnets that keep trying to repel each other, but we're stuck together because of him. I still think about it, the betrayal. It's not something you just get over. Some days it hits me harder than others. I have good days, where I feel like I'm moving forward, and then I have days where I just want to crawl under a rock. Therapy helps. Seriously, if anyone's going through something similar, go to therapy. It's not a magic fix, but it helps. Now to my son, he's amazing. He's the reason I get up in the morning, he's the reason I keep trying. He's starting to ask questions, little things, about why I don't live with him anymore. It's tough. I try to be honest, but age appropriate, you know? I don't want to burden him with adult stuff. So, yeah. That's it. No grand epiphanies, no Hollywood ending, just life, and I'm doing my best to navigate it, one day at a time. Thanks for listening. Honestly, just venting here sometimes helped more than you know.